Hello. For the White Rose Philosophical Study Group, I'm Mark Freeman. This is video number 3 in this series where we discuss philosophical concepts that can be applied to everyday life or any other worthy endeavor. Just a word here, today's presentation is audio only. I moved recently and I'm rebuilding the studio. So for the next couple of videos, it'll just be audio. For more information about the White Rose Philosophical Study Group or the Church of Illumination, please see the links in the description below. Also, if you haven't seen videos 1 and 2 in this series, we recommend that you watch them to get a better understanding of our purpose and the premise of this series. Links to these videos are also in the description. In our last video, we pointed out that the verifiable truths in science and philosophy appear to be directly opposed to religion. However, we maintain that this is a misconception. Now, how can such a claim be made? Everyone knows that religion is primarily about faith and belief, and that science and philosophy are about establishing verifiable facts, correct? Well, perhaps this is true today. But let's go back in time to when the major religions of today were first established. Taking Judaism as an example, we examine the first 5 books of the Holy Bible attributed to Moses. Look especially at Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Contained within these pages are plainly written laws that, if followed, offer a nearly guaranteed path to health, wealth, and societal peace and harmony. If you have even the most remote familiarity with modern medicine, reading the book of Leviticus is not unlike reading a modern medical textbook of diseases, their causes, and their cures. It must be remembered when looking at the founding of the religions we know today, the leaders who established them were dealing with primarily an illiterate and superstitious majority. For example, it was common among the ancient Hebrews to see ill health, poverty, or societal upheavals as a curse or punishment from God, rather than understanding these things as simply the consequences of either ignorance, deliberate defiance, or simply a misunderstanding of their causes. The Torah, or Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Holy Bible, deal with all aspects of life, beginning with the 10 Commandments and expanding from there. Now, this is just one example of one ancient culture's perception of God and the apparent actions of a divine being out of which grew one of the world's great religions. Now, apply this same example to every other major religion in the world today, and you will see that for ancient peoples and cultures, science, philosophy, and religion were all one and the same thing. There was no distinction whatsoever. Their religion was their science, was their philosophy. It was how they explained what they were experiencing, what they observed, and the results of experimentation, just like science, just like philosophy, taking only what is true based on what is observed, what is experienced, and the results of experimentation. Ancient cultures had no concept of our modern understanding of the word belief. For someone in an ancient culture to say, "I believe," would be akin to saying, "I imagine" or "I pretend" that day follows night and night the day, when in fact, that is a fact. For them, the world existed only as fact. The idea of belief is something that had no meaning. God was nature, the world, and the universe, and the universe, the world, and nature was God. As a sidebar, our modern word, belief, comes to us from the old Anglo-Saxon and literally means beloved or beloved. So the original meaning of I believe simply meant I love. If you believed in something, it meant you held it dear to your heart. There was no question as to whether what you loved was true, false, real, or imaginary. Today, when we say we believe in something, whether we realize it or not, we are implying that there is a possibility that it may not be true. Why? Because when we say I believe, what we're really saying is I imagine something to be true without any proof. For instance, when someone says, I believe in God, it might be more appropriate to say, I know God and love God. This is exactly what the early Gnostics held to be true, that they knew God through having experienced and interacted with God. But this is a subject we will address in more detail in a later video. Getting back to the premise of this video, what we are saying is that at the heart of all major religions are to be found the very same fundamental laws of health, wealth, peace, and societal harmony, the only differences being in form, ritual, and culture as a result of communal history and experience. We also maintain that at the heart of all the world's major religions are to be found the same fundamental laws governing what we will call soul growth and a greater interactive consciousness with God. At this point, we must repeat what we said in video number 2 in this series. One religion may be more appropriate for a certain demographic of people than another, but no religion can claim superiority over another, and differences between them should never, ever, ever be a cause for war, contention, or violence of any kind. So let us talk a little bit about soul growth and a greater interactive consciousness with God. It may come as a surprise to some individuals that our souls are not static, unchanging entities inhabiting our physical being to be released upon death. On the contrary, the human soul is a dynamic system, as complex as any living biological entity, and the soul grows and develops just like a physical organism. And just like a physical organism, there are certain laws which govern the growth of the soul and its interaction with its creator. We maintain that these laws can be found at the heart of every major world religion, albeit oftentimes couched in language or rituals that are somewhat obscure or esoteric. It is our purpose with this series of videos to unveil some of these laws and point out where they may be found in the sacred literature. To begin, we will deal primarily with Christianity, as this religion is the one which appears to be founded wholly upon faith and belief in an individual who is the incarnation of one of the three aspects of God, and upon whom salvation is dependent. And it would appear that the modern Christian church, including all denominations, Catholic, Protestant, and Orthodox, are apparently founded upon faith and belief without any attention paid to any fundamental laws of any kind. The question naturally arises as to what we mean when we say fundamental laws governing the growth of the soul. Well, let's take mathematics as an example. The laws of mathematics are universal. They apply to all peoples and all places. The laws of the laws of physical health are universal and apply to all human beings. The laws of physics are universal and apply to all things in all places. This is the nature of the universe. So we ask the following question. If God is the creator of all things, and we maintain that God is the creator of all things, why should there be laws applying to everything except the soul, its growth, and its maturity. Why would one's salvation, as Christianity puts it, be dependent solely upon faith and belief when every other aspect of reality is a function of verifiable laws of activity? More importantly, if the laws of nature can be discovered independently by disassociated individuals, certainly the laws of the Spirit can be discovered independently without need of priest, minister, or church, though having these helps just as having a physics teacher or a school to go to learn in helps in learning the laws of physics or mathematics. Therefore, it is our contention that the laws governing the life, growth, and maturity of the soul are universal to all human beings despite one's religious affiliation. For lack of a better term, we will call these laws divine law. What are these laws, and where can they be found? That will be the subject of our next video. Thank you for sharing your time with me, and always remember, life is a marvelous adventure. Never stop learning.